Right. I think a boy normally does stuff before we come in here.
He does.
To get us ready.
He lets Brad usually get me together. Hold on, let me see. Yo. Okay, so.
Talk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Hey, y'all heard my very right voice. Yo. Welcome to another episode of CANiVISION Midwest Podcast. I am your host, Chris Jackson, and my co-host,
Tatiana Grant. Hey, everybody.
And we have a special guest. I always say special guest, but this one is really special. We have a special guest in the building, Q, as we all have come to adore her as. How are you today?
Thank you. I am fantastic. Thank you for inviting me. I really
course,
appreciate the opportunity.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Love talking about our favorite plant.
Absolutely.
Everything about it.
Yes. Welcome. We are located downtown at the beautiful Foundation Hotel in downtown Detroit. Shout out to them for being our sponsors.
As always.
Yeah,
Beautiful
absolutely.
space too.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
So, welcome. We are early in our podcast, but we've had some dope guests.
All right.
For sure.
But none
Pressure's
of them.
on.
That's true. But none of them to the extent that have the background and the story that you have, and you have a lot of different facets that we hope to cover today. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
So the first thing I want to talk about, right? So there have been, the three of us. We share some common ground in that we all sit on the racial social equity task force.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the name of it.
Right.
With the MRA, right? And the goal of this organization, or this committee, I should say.
Yes.
The goal of this committee is to provide recommendations for how we can improve people of color actually participating in the social equity arm of the cannabis industry. Would you agree?
Yes. Just being active in the industry as a whole.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So there was this these drafts that started floating around, right, about a bill that is supposed to streamline the markets of the industries, right? So you'll appreciate this as a former operator, right? Where it streamlines both the medical and adult use markets, basically to combine them into one. This isn't a necessarily new concept,
Right.
right? There are some states that have already done it. There are some states that are bypassing the medical market altogether. There are municipalities in Michigan that are bypassing the medical market altogether.
Okay.
So my question is the streamlining of the two markets, and I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours first. Is the streamlining of the two markets a good thing or a bad thing, and does it bode well for the medical market as we know it?
Well,
Hey, I got deep on you.
well, change, whether good or bad, is sometimes necessary. So
Right.
I don't know if I haven't read enough of the act to tell you definitively if it's good or bad. I will tell you that heightened access is always a good thing. I will tell you from a medical aspect, especially the people that I've had the privilege of talking to about their very personal medical conditions, they don't want to get cards. That's a hindrance to people. When I say to people, yes, I understand what it's like to have to give up your CPL to keep your medical marijuana card. That's an issue.
Right.
So I feel that in streamlining the laws, maybe you can address some of those issues. We also have a severe shortage in product right now.
Right.
Severe.
Right. And so possibly if you can streamline those licenses in some cases, I mean, do you really have to have medical flower versus adult use flower
Right.
if it's all the same 23%?
Right.
Yes.
No, it's that's unnecessary bureaucratic red tape.
Yes.
But when it comes to numbers of provisioning centers, people are very hesitant about that, and people are very hesitant about what their communities will look like.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they have every right to feel that way.
Right.
So what combining these laws will do for them, I don't know.
Okay.
So that's my answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Sort of,
insane. I haven't done a deep dive into the bill, but I just think about when you talk about the shortage, and I just think about from a licensee perspective, because I worked on the ordinance for the city of Detroit. And the ordinance that we did is, of course, both for medical, and our main focus was on the adult use side of it. However, there is still medical in that same ordinance. And so as we were going through the process of writing it, thinking through, there are some licensees who literally are medical now, and it is, do you completely convert your space over? Do you, all of those.
And should you have to do that?
Right.
To sell, a vape cart versus an edible versus, a gram of Bubba Kush. You shouldn't. It's the same store.
Yes.
Now they want you to have separate areas. It's from a former operator standpoint. That's a nightmare.
Yes.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about what a lot of the work that we're doing by way of trying to get people of color into the industry, that's just another layer of hindrance and barrier and investment that we may or may not have access and the ability to do as well.
Gotcha. And so, from a corporate perspective, really, I guess it depends on the license.
Right.
As an operator, retail operator, best thing that they can do, right? And I think what we end up doing is for our medical patients, medical customers, I think there was a provision in there that said that they could buy tax-free products, right?
All for that.
All for
that.
Absolutely. And the other part of it is we could also continue to do the things that I think most operators do for their medical patients anyway. You come in, you get into a faster line maybe than the adult use folks or whatever the case is. So there's still things that we can do. Now, as a cultivator, at this stature, I wouldn't be so happy.
Okay.
Oh.
Because the same product that I sell in the medical market for, I don't know, let's call it $3,000 a pound right now. The adult use is at $4,000 a pound right now. And this would really regulate the market in a way where they wouldn't be able to have that big of a discrepancy anymore, right? So if I'm a cultivator, it's eating into my ends a little bit.
Okay.
Right.
But that would eventually be corrected over the course of the next 6 months to a year anyway. So I would be losing my edge for maybe 6 months or something like that, right?
On top of those cultivators also losing their edge on having exclusivity until 2021, the end of 2021.
That's true.
Because the state did have that. The law said they were going to have exclusive rights to not have outside influence.
True.
But the state at its discretion could rescind that after a year, and so the state has decided to do that.
Right.
So that's also eating into some of the funds and profits of cultivators.
But listen, I mean, they've had the market for so long that they will be okay, right?
And I mean, not to mention how many of them are vertically integrated as
Exactly.
well. So, I mean, that's the other thing I was thinking through is, when you go on the MRA and you can search by license type.
Right.
So before I was in the industry, I studied that page over and over and over again. And I would be interested now to go back and see how many cultivators are only cultivators and they're not associated with the full supply chain.
Right, I agree with that. Yeah. So the verdict is then that it's a good thing?
Overall, sure, yeah. Overall, okay.
So. If those stipulations that you shared by way of the patient side is adhered to, I think it is.
But if there is a tax increase, then the question is, where does that money go? Right. So at first there were, and I don't even necessarily want to promote it, but at first there were conversations around putting it toward law enforcement, right? Which I think is the indicative of what we're trying to accomplish because of the war on drugs, right? Then there was some conversation, and I don't think it's been added yet, about maybe putting it toward the social equity concepts that we're putting together. Which I don't know who would be against it. If you're going to get taxed anyway and you can't do anything about it, then why not put it in this bucket? So for what it's worth, that bill, if you don't know, is going to be pushed off into the next session. Whereas we thought that it was actually going to potentially be a thing during lame duck, right?
Well, we don't want it in lame duck.
No,
we don't want anything in lame
they
duck.
They don't. But nothing good typically comes out of out of lame duck session in the government.
Right.
So
it's good for like one person.
Exactly.
Everybody else, yeah,
Exactly.
not so much.
Yeah. All right. No, I just wanted some perspective.
Yeah.
And we try to give the people as much up-to-date information that may impact them one way or another, right, as possible.
Good to do.
Appreciate that. So, but the reason we are here is for you, Q. And so, tell us what your journey, a little bit about what your life was pre-cannabis.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Oh,
Just a little bit.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
And then what your journey into cannabis looked like. And eventually, right, the role that the medical side played for you.
Okay, sure.
For now, yeah.
All right, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version.
Cliff Notes.
There we go.
Right, all right. So let's say about 10 years ago, I was a morning anchor at Fox 2 Detroit, getting up every morning.
That's why she looks famous, because she is. All right, go ahead.
Getting up every morning at 3:30 and doing 4 hours of live TV every day. Which was fun, actually. Detroit, the move to Detroit, I was in Boston before I moved to Detroit, but I'm from Indiana originally, Gary, Indiana, so it's closer to home.
Hey,
Yeah.
Michael
So it's
Jackson,
nice. Yeah, Michael Jackson,
Yeah, okay.
Then he came here, then he went to LA, and never came back to Gary. Yeah, he came back once or twice. But, so about 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And for the first year of my diagnosis, I followed my doctor's orders and went from taking no medication to taking 8 pills and a shot every day. And I was sick all the time. And after the third time of going to the hospital because I couldn't stop throwing up, which is its own kind of hell. By the way, if you throw up 3 times in a row, that's when you should go to the hospital. I waited until about 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
I also, though, I got to experience morphine for the first time. And yeah, that stuff is okay. But anyhow,
sure.
Yeah. But after the third trip to the hospital, my husband said, "Why don't you just smoke a joint?" And I smoked a joint, and I was like, "Wow, First of all, I wasn't nauseated anymore. Then my headache went away, and then I found out that I had some energy, which was kind of new for me because at that point I was on 80 milligrams of Adderall a day.
Sheesh.
And yeah, it was like my neurologist was like, "You're on what?" I was like, "You prescribed it."
Right.
I tried cannabis, and I was able to wean myself off of the all 9 medications. And changed my diet as well.
Yeah.
I changed my diet as well and changed my lifestyle as well. I worked at a very stressful job. My doctor suggested I give it up. I took his advice.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you tell everybody what had been going on.
Right, yeah. I was on TV forgetting things.
Right.
By your 4th hour of doing live TV, people notice if you can't get through an interview. And so, it was for the best. I needed a lesser stressful lifestyle. And so I retired, and at that time I became an advocate because I felt that it was civil asset forfeiture was really the game changer for me because it was just so blatantly unfair. I was like, so let me get this straight. If I grow 12 plants in my house, which the law says I can grow 12 plants in my house, but the law also is written so that I can never be in compliance because once those 12 plants, flower, I'm over the limit. So the cops can come into my house, say I'm over the limit, take my house, take my cars, totally ignore the fact that I was a TV news anchor for 20 years, just say that all of it was ill-gotten gains from my criminal enterprise with the 12 plants in my basement, and they could take all my stuff.
Right.
And that was like insane to me.
Right.
That was just insane. And not just insane, but it was happening. People were going to provisioning centers right here in Detroit. And they were getting their cars getting their cars seized.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, $10 because you have arthritis, because as an operator, I was surprised to see the people who come. You'd think that it's this drug den, and no, it's really some 53-year-old guy with back pain. And yeah, so anyway, back to my journey.
It's all good.
It's all
good. We'll get into your operating in a minute.
Okay, so I joined the legalization efforts, started off with Am I Legalized, and then that transitioned to the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, Prop 1. Got involved with all of that. It was successful. At that same time, we were approached by a group that wanted some help getting approved in Detroit. And so we joined their team. We opened Botanic with the Q at the end.
Hey.
And we opened on Election Day. and which was beautiful.
Nice.
We
Yeah.
opened on the day that the voters in Michigan legalized adult use cannabis. So that was awesome, and that Botanic was on Rosa Parks Boulevard is a special place in my heart because as a Black woman to have a cannabis place on a street named after an icon was like I get chills even now. I loved everything about that experience. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but as you know, we had an offer from an out-of-town company, and we all decided to accept it. And I was like, "What do you mean? We're selling it already?"
Right. That was too quick.
I was like, "What do you
I just started this. Me and Rosa was just getting to know each other. Right.
And Era's like, the band always breaks up, and the purpose of building a business is to sell it. So let's do it. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then this gives me the opportunity to do what I always wanted, which was to start an edibles line, which is how I got into this in the first place.
Slow down, Q. Slow down, Q. Slow down,
That's it. So that's it. That's everything. That's it. So
interview over. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. No, so that's it. So after the sale of Botanic, that's now allowed me to kind of spread my wings and do the next step.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm all about reinventing ourselves. So we those of us who watched the Jones Tyson fight this weekend, we saw how both of them have reinvented themselves.
True.
We saw Snoop Dogg kill it.
Oh, did
He was a great
the
commentator.
master. I'm like, yo, Snoop is the master of reinventing himself.
Oh, yeah,
like,
did you see his play? When he was
no.
His play was actually really good.
I didn't even see
I was surprised. I'm sorry, Snoop. I'm sorry, Snoop. But it was a really great play. I don't know if it's like Redemption of a Dog or something. I don't know what it was.
I heard about, yes.
It was fantastic.
Really?
It was fantastic.
But to your point, how many people can play in so many lanes successfully, right?
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
And so knowing that you transitioned from on-air anchor to operator, if you can just tell us a little bit about that journey and like what life was like in that operator space. Because so many people want to do it. Everybody's like, oh, I want a dispensary. I wanted this, I wanted that. So can you just walk us through kind of the good, the bad, the ugly, the lessons learned in that?
The good was
we'll start with the good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start on the positive note.
Start with the good. The good was opening people's eyes to the truth about the plant. Okay. The truth was every day, we would get people who would come in and they would be on crutches or walking with the cane or limping and you could just tell they're just draped in pain.
Yeah.
And you say, well, why don't you just try this? And it's not even necessarily, something to smoke. It's like, have you tried some drops of a tincture?
Yeah.
And then to have them like call you the next day crying. I don't do this anymore. People will call Botanic, and I would sometimes answer the phone. I would just be there, and I've had so many people say to me, "My pastor doesn't know I'm calling y'all."
Right.
And I'm like, well, God, tell your pastor. God said, call Q, and she answered. I would leave Botanic, and I would say to like some of our managers, I was like, okay, look, I'm gonna go to this address, right? And this one lady, she said to me, "Are you really gonna come to my house?" And I was like, I'm gonna really come to my house. Just don't tell anybody. I don't have a crowd address.
Right, exactly.
Don't tell people I do this. And I don't do that anymore because it's you can't. Yes, but it was like I was giving people stuff because I'm like, just try a cream. Your pastor will be okay if you just try a cream, right?
Exactly.
Allegedly, this is what you used to do.
Right.
So,
exactly. Right. Totally. Yeah. So that was the good. The good was, and I had a great team. I had a phenomenal group of people. Yeah. They were motivated. They were positive. They cared. I would be at my house. Now the bad was that I'd be at my house sometimes looking at the cameras and I could see that there's someone who's been waiting in our waiting room for like 30 minutes because our bud tenders are working with someone who has a million questions.
Right.
Yes.
And so that's the bad.
Yeah.
And that was the bad. The bad was we were in a partnership and I learned a lot about being in a partnership with different people.
Yeah.
That experience was I wouldn't say bad, but it was painful learning things about myself in a different environment. because it's not always pretty to recognize that, oh man, if you were, I was great on TV, at least in my head I was, you know, and now I'm like, I'm not so great at some of these
being
things.
vulnerable.
Yeah, and so that was tough. You know, it's tough managing people.
Oh my gosh,
It's really tough managing.
I can relate
people.
to that.
And because you want to be friends, but you know, but you're still their boss, and they still see you as their boss, and so there's always that sort of not disconnect, but there is this distance.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm not kind of used to that. I'm used to, like, all my friends, we go out, you know, in TV, we all drink together, whether you're on Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel, you know, whatever, too. It's, so that was kind of, that was different. And the ugly was, I wouldn't say ugly, but we had, we had disagreements with our investor.
Gotcha.
That can get ugly.
That can get
ugly. Yeah.
We had disagreements about, and I've been public about this before, and I look back now and I have nothing but, you know, good warm fuzzies about Botanic. But at the time, that it we have felt that it should have been run differently than our investor felt, and and we could not necessarily always come to agreement on that, and those moments were not so pretty.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But you know, it was a successful sale.
That's what I was gonna say. Would you consider it a successful exit?
Yes.
Good.
It was the best. It was the best thing. It was a great thing.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I cried.
When you're on the other side of it.
Right. I cried at first. You know, I mean, it was funny. I was like, you know, because there was a lot of unknowns at the time, because we were in the process of being sold, and so it was taking forever. And so I'm telling the employees, I'm like, look, I can't be involved anymore. I'm sorry, and I know that you joined because, you know, you wanted to kind of be a part of this whole group, and I'm not in it anymore. Right. My bad. Yeah. But no, I think I know overall I'm happy. I'm happy about the experience. I'm happy about the sale. I'm happy about what it means moving forward.
And I think people overlook the importance of allowing things to, like, take its course, and knowing when to pivot and to move in a different direction. You know what I mean? And ego and pride and a love for something can get wrapped into, I think sometimes people making bad decisions, you know what I mean? And so what you just said was important for people to hear, because not everyone has an exit strategy necessarily. And, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't, right? But what I do know is that everything is for a season to some extent, right?
Yes. Like, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, see how God makes everything work out in the end?
Right, yep.
For your greater good?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Everything has a season, you know what I mean? And so to be able to recognize that season and then come out of it happy, and hopefully more lucrative than you were when you went in, right? Should be something that people should aspire to in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you sharing that portion of your story.
Thank you.
So you have a new brand.
I do.
Have you talked about this publicly yet?
Briefly.
So we are getting the exclusive.
You know what? You're getting the semi-exclusive.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
You're getting exclusive this month. You know? And mainly because, and I've been really hesitant about putting it out there, mainly because I wanted to make sure that it was trademarked first.
There you go.
That took a while.
And that's done
smart.
now.
It's done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Let's talk culture
with a
Q.
Hey, I got it, y'all. I'm paying attention. Okay.
You know, I have to tell you, I feel I can't even. Who is it? Quentin Tarantino, I think, said it best. He said, good artists create, great artists steal.
Oh, yeah.
I stole. Culture is the third name that I came up with. First it was cannabis with the Q. The Fed said no.
The Q somewhere.
And then it was going to be baked with the Q, which I have an Instagram page because I do all my baking on baked with the BAQED. But then I was concerned people are going to be like, boy, is it like Bacued? Because people say Botanicu even now, and they'll say it's not even called Botanic anymore. But and so I had this grinder card, and it was for Culture the magazine.
Okay.
And I was like, here's my name.
There we go.
was like, we're gonna go with this one. So yeah, and the thing
I love
is,
it.
and I thought it felt great, and it really encompasses what I want to do, which is showcase different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that weed or cannabis really brings people together.
Right.
For sure.
And I didn't experience that as much as I did a weed tour in Colorado. We were on a bus, and it was like 50 people from all over the country. You know, every political bent, every color, and we are all on this bus. You know, passing bongs. This was before COVID. You know, and
Let's be clear.
right, you know, and learning, like, you know, doing all these dabs. And this guy from Chicago looked over at everybody. So he's like this guy from, I don't know, Tennessee, and he's like, "This is just beautiful." And it was, you know, it was beautiful. It just kind of really brought cultures together. I really care about food, and so I feel that, you know, this brand is an expression of culture through food when it becomes an edibles line. It's also a culture. There's this whole culture around the cannabis lifestyle that I want people to embrace. I want people to stop being so ashamed of it.
Yeah.
I watch my former colleagues all the time, and they're drinking wine at 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, and I used to do that too.
Yeah.
You know, heavily. But
Wait a second. Is that a pause? Is that a thing? Like wine at 9 o'clock in the morning?
no, because like you'll have like a wine tasting. Like,
It's like
a restaurant will come in.
it's social.
Yeah.
It's a
9 a.m.
social thing.
Yeah, because we were doing a morning TV. So it would be 8 o'clock in the morning, and so you would have Andiamo would come in, and they would have, you know, this beautiful steak, and then they have a glass.
I'm talking about real life.
Generally, it's a thing.
No, you should not smoke. You should not drink at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not advocating that. I'm sorry.
people who start drinking it.
No, I'm not saying no. So pop a cork at 9 a.m. Forget about that
If
coffee.
you stress, just do
Right,
it.
not
Apparently,
saying-
Tatiana's way
not
of living.
saying that.
got it.
No, I mean I legitimately, like, yeah, I have friends who
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, whatever time. Yeah.
Yeah, but and that's
What about
okay.
bottles?
Let's say what I'm saying is though, but that's acceptable.
Correct.
behavior. But if you light a joint, oh my gosh, you're a druggie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the kind of I'm
Break down that
right
stigma.
to say, you know what, it's okay if you want to smoke a joint. Let's learn how to smoke it like a lady.
Right. Yeah,
if
no.
you want to.
To your point, I'm in a Facebook group, one of the cannabis groups, and somebody posted a meme, and it was about like moms embracing the whole wine culture.
Right.
Like moms drinking wine all day. But as soon as a mom brings up, you know, cannabis, they're looked at as being like a bad mom.
Right. And-
or whatever, you know, I'm not sending my kid to their house.
Right.
Or whatever the case may be.
Or you can get your kids taken away.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, no, there's definitely a stigma that needs to be broken down.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that you know that what we represent and how we express ourselves is always an expression of culture, and it's a nod to Detroit. Detroit is such a vibrant, a culturally vibrant community. You know, Corktown was home to Botanic, and that's such a vibrant, you know, culturally varied area.
Yep.
And it was just
Did you guys own the building? Did you?
no.
I
was
was gonna say, now that's the money maker right there.
Get this. That building was empty for 20 years, and it was a great landlord. We had a very, very long rental agreement. Like
As
That-
you
oh my God.
that
As you should.
it was a decades long. I was like, is this legal?
By the way,
but it
hold
re-upped
on.
every year. But I was like, is this legal? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, by the way, that's
Now
it.
I will always. If you could, I tell people all the time, don't call me until you have a building.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the real estate over there
Yeah.
is insane.
He got that building for $200-something thousand, and our partner sold him the building. They was like, "Why didn't you buy the building?"
Oh no, they did not know. What
He
they
knew.
were doing
Oh,
on that
no.
one.
It's like,
By the
yeah.
way, if you are gonna lease, to your point, it should be like 20-year, 5-year option to your
Yeah.
protect yourself. But anyway,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So along those lines, you talked about Rosa Parks Boulevard, and just how much that meant to you. When you go on the pathway of legacy, what do you want your legacy to be in life, in the industry, just as a whole?
You know, I think that I'm just this kind of like weird person.
Okay.
Maybe because I don't really necessarily I don't know what my legacy would be.
Okay.
And I never kind of really thought about it. I just want to be a good person.
Okay, that's fair.
And I mean, I would hope that. I mean, but to answer your question, if I would think about what I would want my legacy to be, it would be really to again be like a legacy of kindness. You know, a legacy of compassion. You know, a legacy of empathy. Yeah, you know, there were so many people who worked on cannabis. I can't. It's in Michigan. I can't claim. You know, that I'm a part of the legacy, sure, but there, I mean, oh my, I was so late to the game. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 10 years. You know, yeah, I was in Sticky Itchy saying, can I get some of this? You know, right. So, while I'm happy to be a part of the cannabis patchwork and legacy of Michigan, I'm a small part. Of that in my estimation, because there were so many people who continue to this day to do so much, and they don't get the accolades. So that I have this opportunity and this privilege to be in this business at this time in history. I just want to pay it forward. I'm like, just be nice to somebody. You know, if you, I'm lucky to be in this position. Let me help pull some people up too. You know, if the pie is big enough. You know, it's a big pie, sure. And you would keep growing more. So yeah. So I hope that my legacy is one of cannabis is not so bad. It can actually be really great, and if you use it in a spirit of kindness, compassion, and love. So
there we go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, I like that too.
The types of products that we can expect from Culture.
Okie dokie. Well, first of all, it's going to start off as a CBD line. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I used to get so many people who would call me up and say, I just want the CBD. I don't want that bad THC. And so I found myself pushing THC. I'm like, no. It's like, you know, CBD is like everywhere. You can get it at the family, you know, the whatever. But this is, and you don't even know what you're getting. Right. So go to a dispensary if you're going to get it. Right. But so I decided to start with CBD because I've been using it for my mom for over a year now with really, really good results. And then I've been using it for my mother-in-law. So for my mom, it's with diabetes. I've really noticed a change in her insulin resistance and her glucose levels in changing her diet and also adding CBD to her regimen because it helps with overall inflammation. For my mother-in-law, she has arthritis, so we're dosing her with CBD and THC to help with her arthritis.
Go, mommy and mother-in-law for being open.
But you know what changed my mom's mind, I think, was my mom was in the hospital with me one of those times when I couldn't stop throwing up. And so she's watching them, and it was her birthday. It was her birthday, and she was watching them pump me up with morphine. Oh wow! And to get me to stop throwing up. And she said, "Whatever you need to do, I'm gonna help you do it." Aww. And I was like, "I need to put some weed in the crock pot. We need to decarb.
Let's do this, Mom."
But then she developed diabetic retinopathy. And she was terrified. She thought she was going blind. And so I was like, don't believe it. You know, we're going to try everything. And I will not say the provisioning center where I took her, because they allowed her to come in, and I'm going to get all teary-eyed. They allowed me to come in and bring my mom in the room with me and ask questions that he knew I was asking for her.
Okay.
And but you know, because of the law, because it wasn't rec at the time, you know, but he helped me in that moment, help my mom, and because I want to help other people.
Good. So that's the pay it forward.
So then I had a seizure in January, and my doctor prescribed me this drug that was $1,200.
You had a seizure.
And I was like, before I give a pharmacy $1,200, I'm gonna start taking CBD. And I started taking CBD, and knock on wood, I'm almost a year seizure free. Cool. So let's start with CBD. So it's not just CBD. I want to do other cannabinoids. I have an MS support group. We have a lot of people out there who are who have issues that are not being addressed in the medical community.
Right.
And so I'm looking at my line features CBG, which is cannabidiol, which is being studied for movement disorders.
Yeah.
My line features THCV, which is incredibly expensive, but it's being researched for diabetic issues and metabolic issues. I'm doing Delta 8 and CBN because I haven't slept, and I really, like so many people, I struggle with insomnia, and we're all looking for ways to get a good night's sleep.
Right.
So I'll start with there, and I'm lucky that a great group of guys called the Canna Boys are willing to work with me to get my THC line to fruition. And that line will be also along the same lines. I'll have tinctures, but I'll also have edible products because I know that people, everyone can't smoke, everyone can't vape. And while I'm an advocate of both, I feel that inhalation is the best way to get cannabinoids into your system quickly. But if you can't do that, if you need more sustained relief, then that's where edibles come in. And so I want to help people learn how to dose themselves properly. And so I'm also happy that Select, for the first 3 months of 2021, they'll be sponsoring tea parties that'll feature online, so you don't have to leave your house. But we'll have a nurse, a cannabis nurse there to answer every question that you have about cannabis from a medical point of view. It's like, ask Nurse Kathleen. No, don't ask Q. Right. We're going to have a cannabis chef, Chef Gigi, who has been doing so many events here in Detroit for years, introducing people in the blend of cannabis and food. And so every time, she's making us something and showing us how to use cannabis in your everyday life, in your food, to help improve your wellness. So I'm excited about that. So hopefully in 6 months or so, the line will be out there. So the line features, I don't want to say healthy-ish, healthy-ish things. I have nut bars instead of, candy bars.
Right.
I'm working on a chocolate. I have, and some other things, but I'm really, yeah.
You don't have to let all the secrets out.
But know that, but I'm working on things that are not so sugary, because and as you know, we're also lucky to be in this situation where people come to us at the end of their lives, and they ask us, can you help it become easier? And I can't tell you how many people with cancer I've sat across from, and I'm like, you should be eating sugar, right?
Right.
And no one ever told them that. No one ever told them that. So I'm like, so if you want to just go, hey, I can make you brownies all day long. But if you want to fight this, let's talk about avocado oil.
Yes.
So yeah.
Safe to suffice, I think is what all of us already knew. You're dope in a lot of ways. And we appreciate you, and I appreciate the humility, right? But as soon as we started promoting that you were going to be on the show, it was so many people that were like, yo, I love Q, she does this. I mean, like, so many people having high admiration for what you've done, who you are, who you continue to be. Thank you. I think I speak for both of us when I say we appreciate you just being here and sharing some thoughts and life experiences and dropping a few nuggets here and there.
Don't make me cry too.
Hey, that's okay.
I didn't come here to cry. But okay.
But we appreciate
those mommy stories.
Yeah. I know, right? I love mama.
Yeah. We appreciate the passion.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, for sure.
So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to talk about culture officially.
Talking about culture with a Q.
I can say who I'm doing it with. I'm really excited about it. Yeah,
and it's gonna be cool. So be on the lookout for that.
In a few months.
Yeah,
a few months.
Yeah, but the culture, the CBD line kicks off at the end of January.
Okay.
With our first tea party.
Okay.
So January 28th ish is the drop of the CBD line. Including bath bombs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about bath bombs.
They're a game changer.
Like.
That's another show. So many things. They help get you in the mood. They help, get rid of your pain. Mm-hmm. They're just this great way to just kind of give yourself a little drop of luxury.
Yeah, so I'm in, I'm in the Peloton, like the Peloton exercise bike.
I used to be a spin instructor.
Okay, so they have a Facebook group, and it was like a whole like 300-person thread about like, has anybody tried CBD bath bombs?
Oh.
And it was like a whole thing. Women, and this is like the Black Girl Magic group.
Okay.
So Black women across America, like in this Facebook group, talking about how much they love their CBD bath bombs.
Yep.
So
guess what? I do a video on how to make them.
Really?
Yeah, because they're so easy. I did when I used to do my tea parties at this bed and breakfast in Detroit. One month we did, loving yourself. And so I had there was this lady named the Turp Goddess, she's on Instagram and she makes bath bombs.
Okay.
And so I was like, can you make me some bath bombs? And everybody loved them. And so my mom had never had one, and she was like, oh my gosh, I got into that bath bomb, and I was like, what is that? And so it's amazing that so many people, they walk past Lush, they've never been inside Lush,
right?
But no, bath bombs are great. And the thing is, it's just Epsom salt, and so your body needs Epsom salt because it's a source of magnesium, and your body absorbs the magnesium best through your skin.
After every football game.
Yeah.
Epsom salt. Absolutely.
Right.
So
That's
I'm
all
with
bath
you.
bomb
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's
Now
just
he's
Epsom salt.
catching
Now I
on.
get it. I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, and also help you sleep.
Bath bomb for men.
Yeah, magnesium also helps you sleep. Use a magnesium lotion, use a bath bomb, do Epsom salt. Yeah, it helps.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I'm on board now. Y'all lost me for a minute.
Yeah, but
with,
I go.
the impact, but I'm here. I'm back.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming. Again, thank you to the Detroit Foundation Hotel for hosting
Absolutely,
us here.
thank you.
We will be back next week, but per usual, we appreciate every follower, every like, every mention. We just, we appreciate all of our clients, our customers, man. Without you, none of this is possible. So please continue to follow us on this journey, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.